Brexit is dead.
4, 3, 2, 1.
It's 4.5 years on since we left the EU, and in this episode of Brexit Is Dead, we give a prime example of the pathetic rhetoric some people give as if to provide proof of benefits amongst the rubble of Brexit. Case in point when Jacob Rees-Mogg invited Catt, a farmer, onto his GB News show to try and push home the point that all is well and farmers should in fact be taking advantage of all the benefits available now we aren't being told what to do by those Eurocrats in pesky Brussels.
And I'm joined now by farmer and wholesaler Catt.
Catt, though, sets the record straight that things are pretty crap thanks to Brexit. Listen to the sheer arrogance of Mogg, who thinks he knows better than those experiencing the pain firsthand.
Thank you very much for joining me. Will you be joining me in celebrating the 4 years since we departed from the EU?
No, not whatsoever. None whatsoever. Hasn't benefited British agriculture one iota. In fact, it's damaged us. It's destroyed our ability to export to the EU. We had built massive trade with beef and sheep, lamb, fish, dairy products, which now we're not allowed to sell. We can't sell to the EU because of the red tape. We've got new checks coming in tomorrow. We've got new checks coming in tomorrow, which have been deferred 5 times, which will put the restrictions on.
Those are checks on imports, though, not on exports.
Yeah, but our exports, our exports stopped in 2020.
But you can still export to the EU under the TCA that we did with the European Union.
The paperwork and red tape involved, it makes it prohibitive financially.
Overall, our exports have grown to the EU since we left.
That's down to gas.
Well, it's not entirely down to gas, actually. It's also other aspects.
But the bulk of the exports are gas, yes.
No, gas is important, but actually our exports have been doing well, not just with the EU, but globally.
Too much on the Russians.
And we've had a protected market for EU agricultural produce, which has been hugely to the disadvantage of British consumers. We've had higher prices because we have been a captive market for the EU, and we can be more competitive, and our farmers can be more competitive. And as we open up free trade deals with other countries, there's a chance for you to export to them.
Inside the EU, we had protections of the CAP, which was a food policy. Outside of the EU, we have no governmental food policies. We are in a situation in this country at the moment where agriculture and farming is falling off a cliff. In Kent, here, the Garden of England, where I am, apple trees are being grubbed at a far faster rate than ever before. We're planting vineyards. We can't get any labour. Well, the labour we can get now comes, instead of from Europe freely, it comes from Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, all around the world on visas, which are very expensive, create a lot of red tape. So most farmers, fruit farmers down here, are packing up. We're planting vineyards.
The growth of vineyards has been doing extremely well. Farmers have been making a lot of money out of vineyards and increasing the value of their land as well. That's been a real positive.
Yeah, but it's only in its initial stages at the moment. But they're having to go there. A lot of established fruit farms that have been fruit farms for 50 years are finished.
Markets are developing, and the regulations on wine are being eased to make it more competitive and less regulated. This is a real opportunity that we couldn't have in the EU.
No businessman puts a barrier between itself and its biggest customer. Just does not happen. Does not happen.
But our biggest customer is the United States. Our biggest single trading partner is the United States, not the EU. Not any individual country in the EU.
Not for foodstuffs. We're now left at the vagaries of the supermarkets who dictate the prices. They're pushing things down. Now, friends of mine,
the farmers were always complaining about the supermarkets when we were in the EU. That's no change.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same.
Because the government policies allowed them to be where they are on the continent. They're controlled to a much greater degree than they are here.
Well, thank you very much, David. It's good of you to join me.
Click here to find out the figures on Brexiteers kicking the bucket.